All right, we're at the Dade Battlefield State Park near Bushnell. Today's the second day of the annual reenactment of the battle. They have a trade fair here every year, and before we join the battle in about an hour and a half, we're going to take. This is a Sutlers row, more or less. They sell their wares and they create period equipment and materials. Everything from stuff to cook with, the stuff to hunt with, the clothing, things that children would play with, amusements, and these are some things that aren't related at all to the period. Well, we're just gonna take a brief look at these things. Really cool. Obviously, this is not something that you would have found in 1835.
But I have bought a place. Yeah, I'm down here like 4 months a year. So I bought a trailer, a real nice trailer. My brother found for me.
Cool gator heads here.
CVS Pharmacy and the
Better than average chance those are real.
right down here on 301.
There's some
But
cow
then again, I'm still going
skulls.
while I'm down in the down around Okeechobee and
Ram
different places.
skulls.
Fort Lauderdale doing reenactment all the time. Yeah.
Do they have a list of
They'll have a list here in Florida.
Snowshoes. There's a lot of use for those, especially in South Florida. Yeah.
Well, no, I know that. But
Yeah, I think I'll get a pair of those. Peacock feathers, probably off of our native peacocks. This is pretty much the, for lack of a better term, the white man section. The Seminole section is behind me on the other side. We're going to take a look at that pretty quick. We call this Battlefield Street. If I had endless resources, I probably would spend countless dollars on a lot of this stuff because a lot of it's fairly cool, but thank goodness I don't. So I'm not going to. Here's a cool walking stick. I'm sure the lovely research assistant would love to have one of these. Real deal walking stick. I'd love to get that for her. She'd use it too. I might have to come back and get me one of those. She might like that. Raccoon tails.
And anyway, there's other animals, okay, that keep trying to get over.
Period weapons, except for the pistol. The pistol hadn't been developed to that extent back in the day. Here's a little baby carrier thing. That's period. These are probably period related. I mean, obviously not authentic, real, but reproductions, all reproductions. Here we have reproduced textiles from back in the day. Canteens. Oh, let's see. Pardon me.
To burn off the
This is the place.
I'm sure a lot.
Come on, not. See, she sells jackets like this.
Well, horse don't pass buttons.
Some clothing tents, period clothing tents. corn grinding. That's real deal stuff. Over there are some contemporary food tents. We're not going to include those in part of our video. Now we're going to go to the fun part. We're going to go to the Seminole side of life. See what's happening over here with the Indian homies. Brenda, if you can hear me, the lovely research assistant, I was looking at one of those walking sticks. I think you'd really like that. You'd probably use it too, but I don't know with your walking sticks that we got for a couple of Christmases ago. If a real authentic walking stick would be used as much. It sure is heavy enough to swat a bigger than average gator. This is one of my favorite parks on the planet. This is the site of one of the most historic events in human history, in American history. I'm sorry, human history. I don't think it's that impactful, but as far as we are concerned as Americans, this is an extremely historic site. The day before, December 28th, 1835, forces under Osceola attacked Fort King and the Indian agent over there in Ocala, which is, oh gosh, what are we, 50, 60, 70 miles from there right now? I don't know, roughly. But this, on that next day, is where Alligator Jumper and a bunch of his boys were ambushing Dade and about 108, 110 of his guys. And it's said from legend, lore, and all that stuff that this is where Dade fell. They were walking along this road. This is the actual Fort King Road. And going from Tampa over to straight up to Fort King behind me. And about halfway through, they were ambushed here. And Dade fell in the first barrage, the first gunfire. He fell. So his men were leaderless. And after that, the whole thing just went to hell for them. And almost every one of them, to a man, was shot down, killed. They did what the Indians never expected to do, which is about 200 yards south of here. They forded up, which is a typical European way of doing things. They barricaded up. Indians expected and ran. Indians would have never chased them. Indians didn't chase. They didn't have it in them to chase endlessly for days and days and days. They would attack you, do what they could, follow it up a little bit, but then fall back because they had to save their guys. So they weren't about siege warfare. They were trying to save their guys and inflict as much damage as they could, which they'd done in the first fusillade. They had killed about 1/3 of the guys in the first barrage, and then after that it was just a bloodbath. But anyway, so once they did ford up, the Indians were like, well, here's ice cream with your cake, let's go. And they finished them off, for lack of a better term. I've always liked how they do this with the 4-corner thing and they move it closer and closer and closer. It's always been a cool way of building a fire for me. I always thought that was really neat. So here we got a Seminole reenactor. We're going to let him talk and go over here. Great commentary. Well, thank you. My video skills haven't improved at all, but I think my commentary has improved. I'm doing a lot less uhs and ahs, I think. So anyway, going back to the park aspect, this is a really it's not much to it in terms of a Gettysburg or a Sharpsburg or something like that. I mean, you don't see rolling miles and miles of hills and things like that. But in the short area that we're in, this is an incredibly, phenomenally significant, impactful place. This is the ground on which this happened. And as I got sidetracked earlier, this is, together with the event at Fort King, was the beginning of the Second Seminole War. And the Seminole Wars were the most costly wars, Indian wars in history of all the other Indian wars put together. Sioux, Apache, Cherokee, blah, 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 the whole thing down the road. This was what cost the most in terms of lives and material. Now we're on the Seminole side. Well, we got a cool alligator hide here. Sweet. Little fella. Baskets and gourds. Here we got an Indian Dade doing his Indian thing. This must have been a chick that got captured by the Indians and now she's on by herself or something. I don't know. Got a little teeny weeny hand card action here. That's pretty cool. Very cool, very neat. And this is the actual Fort King Road. This is where these guys were marching. And back in the day, the head guy would have marched at the head. You know, he would have been at the head of his troops, which is why he was shot down first.
I can't imagine. I'm glad I was in a nice warm bed. This is actually tough.
What are you doing?
We're making flour.
Oh my gosh, great job.
We have our pan, acorns. We use the acorns, we smash them with the pan. We put it in the masher. We get this little piece out of the acorns and we smash it. But if we leave them whole, there won't be any flour. There won't be any flour, nothing we can bake.
Sweet.
We mash it, we put it in the bowl and mix it. And we want none black, but if it's a black acorn, you can use it. This part is black and the back is black, so that's good. You can use that. If it's white round and there's a little black piece in the middle, we can't use it. We have to throw it out. And what we do, we get a bag, like a cheesecloth bag, and then we put the flour in, because it tastes bitter just plain. And what we do, we put some water, we have the flour in, and you put the water in. And that's how you make the bitter out.
What?
And then you hold the top and squeeze the water out.
Okay.
So it doesn't taste still watery.
What does it make eventually?
Well, it will make anything you want it to.
Like,
Cakes, cupcakes.
oh, nice.
Anything that includes flour in it.
Cool.
This is called acorn flour.
Nice. Fun stuff. Well, thank you.
You can look at it. It looks. As it gets, I mean, some of the stuff is at the bottom.
Do you need any, Dad?
You can look. It looks
Oh,
just
neat.
looks just like flour.
Cool.
Just
And you whip it with a little water and bake it up and you're good to go. Neat.
Smashing it.
I was in, where was I at? I was at Big Cypress 2 weeks ago and I saw a bear in the top of a tree, an oak tree, and he was eating these things. He was just pulling them in, pulling them in, pulling them in, chomping and having a good old time with it. But he didn't get to make flour or cakes though. Thank you.
okay.
wow, that was really neat. Oh, here's one of the obelisks that has fallen over. This is a Mudge, or yeah, it's Mudge. Okay. So the Seminoles were very familiar with white people, so they knew where to shoot first. They shot the officers off their horses first, so they knew that doing that would make them leaderless and much easier to deal with. So anyway, and then I've done this before. Oh, here's a white guy camp across the river. We got white guys camping across the river. So, wasn't gonna do this because I've already done a video on this, but I'm gonna do it again anyway. What the heck? We're gonna go down to the area where the leaderless men. I think there was one lieutenant left out of the whole bunch, one officer, and he led everybody back. Clarkson or something, I forget the guy's name, but anyway, he led everybody back here to this redoubt. And once they forded up, the Indians were like, "It's on." They never expected that, but once they got it, it was a gift, and they were all over them. They were like, "Okay, you guys are gonna sit there and let us shoot you? Okay, let's go." So of course the Indians were all around. They were already. It was on. They didn't, just easy greasy. Nothing to it. And this is it right here. This is a recreation, a reenactment of the fort, if you will. And once they did that, that was it. So, we're gonna sign off this part of it for now. Later on, we're gonna go back live to the actual battle, the recreation of the battle, which I'm not going to do on this part. Okay, so it's 41 to Fort King and 64 back to Tampa. So that's where and here we got a bunch of white guys getting ready to act like they're going to die. All right, so for now, we're going to put this bad boy down. Whoops.